everyone, it's Allison Alyssa Cardy of AllisonAlyssa.com, and today I have a story about measuring what matters. I'm going to share a personal story, but I think the implications are relevant to a lot of different situations, and I hope that this story is helpful to you. Recently, I noticed that my life was getting quite full. In a good way, a lot of activities that I really enjoy, and I've been getting a lot of things done, which is great. But I also noticed that I had this sneaking feeling that I wasn't measuring up, that I wasn't hitting the targets that I really wanted to be hitting. And I finally, after having this feeling for quite some time, I realized in talking to some colleagues what was going on. In the back of my head, I had an old metric for success. When my business was in its earlier stages, I spent a lot of time guest posting and doing speaking engagements to get my message out to new people. And since I've been doing that over time, my audience has grown, my client load has grown, which is awesome. I love my clients. But that old metric was no longer so relevant because I was spending a lot more time with client care and preparation and working with them and sending them thoughts. And I've also been working on some other areas of my life, like eating healthier and making sure I get to the gym, all that good stuff, and being more social. But I wasn't acknowledging or I didn't have a metric for all those activities that I was doing. Instead, I was still kind of running on autopilot with this old metric, and I wasn't actually doing very many guest posts or speaking engagements, so I felt like I wasn't doing the right things. So once I realized that my metrics had just changed and what was important to me now had shifted, I could make some new metrics, like how many times did I send a thoughtful email to a client, or something along those lines. And then all of a sudden, I felt like, oh, I am doing a lot and I'm doing the right things. So I think this is applicable to a ton of different situations because we are always changing. Our lives are always changing, whether that's starting a new job or a new role, or making a move, entering or leaving a relationship. There's lots of change abounding. And I think it's at these junctures when something shifts or changes in our lives that we need to pay a little bit of attention to what metrics we're using to assess how we're doing in our life. So I have 3 questions for you. The first is, what are you currently measuring? So this may be something that's happening kind of unconsciously. I wasn't even realizing that I was in the back of my mind measuring how many speaking engagements I had been doing recently. You might be measuring how much money you have or what you're eating. It could be any number of things, but I just want you to pull that to the front of your mind. What are you measuring? And then what matters most to you? And I wrote out 7 different categories to think about this in. They are health, work, relationships, fun, rest or restoration, finances, and home. So within all those categories that we all deal with, what are you most aiming for? And then finally, how can you quantifiably measure those important items? So instead of saying, I want to have a nice orderly home, you might say, I want to make sure I pick up for 10 minutes a day or something like that. So it's something that you can quantifiably measure and also that you can control. And the idea here is just to bring to the forefront of your mind with a little bit more clarity about what is the reality of your life situation right now and how can you measure how well you're doing and what you're aiming for in your life. I found that once I switched my metrics and made them more applicable to what's really going on in my life right now, I felt so much better. It really helped. So I'd encourage you, if you have some time to consider this, it's a pretty worthwhile exercise, and I hope it helps you.